Good morning, afternoon, evening, anyone out there who's listening or watching. Happy birthday 21 to us. 21 episodes today. And for today, we have obviously 21 years old beverage type of episode for you. I am Michèle Kline, owner and operator of Kline Hospitality, where we help people and businesses grow. And I'm with my co-hostess, Stephanie Ledger from First Rate Hospitality. Stephanie, take it away.
Yes, good day, everyone. Stephanie Ledger here, First Rate Hospitality, and I'm so excited, Michèle, that we're celebrating our 21st episode with our special guest here, Jordan Kayser from the Food and Beverage Department, giving us his WTF moments with the food and beverage, mostly on the beverage side, to go with our theme of 21. So glad to have you, Jordan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ladies. Pleasure to be here today.
So give us a little bit of background about your in the food and beverage industry and how you've developed in your career.
Absolutely.
So basically, Jordan, tell people why they should believe what you're going to say going forward, or why they shouldn't, and just have fun with it.
Yeah, it's I started in the industry at the age of 15, when every young adolescent was experiencing with, the life of living on the edge of, do I want to be a grown adult, or do I just want to continue to have fun all the time? And just continued down that path, and eventually took the jump into the management side of things. I've worked my way through all of the back of the house and server sides of things, and decided to take on the managerial aspects over 20 years, mostly all in food and beverage. So it's been a wild ride as far as the west coasts of the country and down into the deep south as well. So it's been fun to see every aspect of the country and the different types of clientele that you get, whether it be snowbirds or just your everyday professionalism that comes from every facet of life. So it's a fun journey that will continue to evolve as we go through the day-to-day operations.
Oh yes, and I'm sure too, with everyone going back out dining from being home, stuck at home and cooking, and now seeing more walks of life.
Yeah, food and beverage right now is it's probably one of the most difficult I've ever seen it right now. I think with the pandemic, obviously, hospitality, as we're all aware, has taken one of the most difficult turns, not only as far as hiring, but with a lot of things like skyrocketing in prices that people just aren't used to, and then hiring and teaching what used to be a different mentality to, when we were younger and understood what season meant to us. We would grind it out. We would put in a month straight with no days off and work 12 to 16 hours a day and stockpile that money and love every minute of it, and know that when our summertime came, or our off-peak season time came, we would enjoy all of those accolades that we earned. And I'm finding it a little bit more difficult this day and age. I think people are just happy with getting by and making a little less and finding a little bit more time for themselves, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think with our industry, it doesn't really lend for that opportunity. So if we had more people to do the jobs, that would make it easier. But unfortunately, we don't have more people to fill those positions. So we need more of our young selves. So if we could clone my younger self, I'd be happy to go back and do that. But I don't have that technology yet. So we've got to kind of groom some people to be better with that mentality.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So I'm so excited that we're going to be talking about our 21st episode. So we're having it as the theme here. With booze, you lose. And crazy enough is on today's episode with Jordan Kayser is that both of us did work together when we were at a young age during our prime of being 21, and we were able to enjoy the perks of working for a major brand and getting those employee rates at locations to be able to enjoy a little bit with our time off in different hotel properties. And of course, we always have that fake ID story, and we have to use a McLovin for our picture.
So let me chime in, Stephanie. For those of you who are listening, I do encourage you to watch this episode on YouTube because we have some very, very interesting pictures right in front of our faces right now. So I do encourage you to go back and check it out and see both Jordan and Stephanie on their best days, perhaps, at least maybe the most fun days.
Yes, absolutely. Great times.
Great times. So I'll jump right in and then allow you guys to take the rest away and just tell us all those happy stories of when you used to work together. But my story is the following. You had mentioned, Jordan, how the clientele somewhat dictates, or most of the time dictates, how we run our operations or those funny stories around your operations. And depending on the region where you're in is when you will find that specific clientele, right? From east to west, you have it all. So my story is not so much the clientele, but the team members, because it's true too, that each region has a very specific employee pool. And I was early on in my career, I was the head of the stewarding department and other departments. I had 3 different departments under my leadership, but why stewarding? Because I had a team member. I get a call very early in the morning, 5 a.m., get a call. My phone is always on vibrate. It like starts, so I knew something was up. So I end up picking up the call, and it's security. We would love for you to come on property. And I was like, oh, this can't be good. So I drive over, and when I get there, I'm like, where do you want to meet? Meet me at the loading dock. This can't be good at all, right? Why would you meet security at the loading dock? So I immediately, as I'm walking in, I drop my car off. I'm walking in through the back area, the bay area, and I see this team member with his head completely down, sitting in a wheelchair. And I was like, oh no, but there are no paramedics, right? And there's no like drama. So I'm thinking this can't be a medical thing. So I end up walking over and preparing myself to deal with this difficult conversation that is coming my way. And when I finally get there, immediately they downloaded on me. So the team member was supposedly found drinking, and he seems to be drunk. So someone else takes care of ensuring that the team member gets home safely and so on and so forth. But I'm being walked to the surveillance office so that I can review tape and we can determine if the team member's alcoholic state was as a result of him, A, drinking on the job, and B, theft. Yay. Awesome, right? I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a great day. So we walk over and I start watching the tape, and I can tell you that I wanted to laugh, and I know the guys around me wanted to laugh, and we all knew each other. But it's one of those situations when you're like, is this like, where's the hidden camera? Is this a joke or is it really happening? My team member who was assigned to cleaning behind the bar at the steakhouse had, for some reason, access to several very nice bottles of wine. And I guess he was having a rough time. So he decides that he's going to lay on the floor or sit on the floor behind the bar so no one can see him. Little did he know that there were cameras everywhere above him, right? But the guys in surveillance thought it was super funny to show me first the scene from behind from the seating area of the bar. And all I could see was the bar, then everything that is behind it, like the mirror and the bottles and the entire display. And every so often I would see the little tail of a bottle go up and then go down. And then a few seconds later, the bottom of the bottle would go up and then go down. And they're like, what do you think that is? And I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me right now. He's obviously drinking, right? And I'm tying the loose ends. Like, I find the guy, he's at the loading dock, he's completely passed out. It has to be him. Yes. So then we see the video from he's like literally partying it up, sitting on the floor, had a couple of already empty bottles of wine on the floor beside him. And he was like literally drinking from the bottle, up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's kind of what they had. One security officer walk by the area at a specific time of the night. And all he could see was that, like the bottle going up and down and up and down. That's why they thought it was so funny for me to watch that side of the surveillance tape first. So yes, the clientele will dictate how we operate, and the team member too. So all those stories around it, I'm sure you guys have more than one story that has to do with team member behavior on the job, drinking, or perhaps coming in drunk or turning 21 and thinking that they can come and party it up on property, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So who wants to go next?
All right, we'll have Jordan go.
So we have had plenty of different IDing situations and opportunities where people have really wanted to be a part of the entire interaction. So this was one instance where we had a lady who came with her two other friends and decided that they wanted to actually be a part of give me 1 second. Yes.
Just let him or her know that she or he's not 21 yet, so they can't participate in this conversation. I'm sorry, it's not happening today.
So thank you. She's trying to be a part of it. So she comes in with a few friends, and the two others that were with her looked of age, and we had no problem allowing that. And again, it's so difficult to tell how old people are these days. I don't know what they're putting in their milk, but they just, you can't tell who's 21, who's 12, who's 30. So, we try and ID anything that we have a question of. So she came in and was very, very confident with her, giving us this ID, of which was a black and white photocopy on a piece of paper, and confidently just handed it over to us and said, I don't have my ID, but the DMV said it would be okay if I gave you this copied piece of paper. And I in awe, just, obviously was letting her know that unfortunately we can't accept pieces of paper, as it's not a physical copy. And she was adamant, tried to really go above my head to let me know. And who's your boss? And unfortunately, I'm my own boss at this time. We're going to have to deny your paper copy ID and let you know that you can't drink. So that was definitely an interesting one. I'd never had somebody give me a paper copy. Obviously, put your picture over somebody else's picture and making a copy, it's easy enough to do. And yeah, so that was an interesting one that we were able to move on from pretty quickly. And on the flip side, you've got these innocent little 21-year-olds who are so excited to go out and finally have the opportunity to order their first cocktail, and they're out there with mom and dad, and there's nothing more you want than to be ID'd. I mean, once you get older, you live for that day, like live to be ID'd.
Totally.
I still care. Make sure my ID is always with me.
I get ID'd these days, and they literally made my day. And I let them know. It's so kind of you.
It is. It's and I think they know that sometimes. It's sort of that like, oh,
They do it on they want the tip. They're working it. See, that's why we have you here today, so you can educate us.
But on the flip side, this innocent little girl comes in and she orders a nice cocktail from the beverage of which she thought was, and even put on her notes in the reservations that she was 21st birthday, and so who it is. It continues to order the cocktail, and once it's brought out, questions why we weren't able to ask for her ID, where we politely let her know that she had ordered a mocktail. And
right, there's no alcohol in Arnold Palmer.
Cranberry and soda is not a vodka cranberry and soda; it's just a cranberry and soda.
That's
so
Shirley Temple.
she then continued to order the alcohol, which was great. But it's funny to just see both sides of that spectrum, where some people are hard up, and you can always tell when you look like you're 21 and you come to the door, or you're asked for your ID, or you look like you're 18 and then you get offended for asking for your ID. It's usually a dead giveaway that you're underage, because at that point you're trying to veer us away from determining that you are. It's the flip side when we ask and you're like, oh yes, absolutely, allow me to provide for you.
Great tip, Jordan.
Yeah. And then also too, of the staffing as well, of how they handle the situations too, and with IDing, or even being nicely saying that, oh, you ordered a different drink than what you thought you ordered.
Yeah, it's really all in the presentation of it. It comes back with, I think, people being in food and beverage, there's a lot of hesitation for negativity from the server side of things, that people are always afraid of taking on themselves, which is when they'll get management involved. And I think one of those things can be, credit cards getting declined, or form of payments not being accepted. And, a way we approach that, number one, is you handle the person and not the party, right? You don't talk to the people there, you talk to the person that gave you the card. And if you do get that declined credit card, you just let them know, hey, do you have another form of payment? Is there another card that you'd like to pay for this with? And you don't even have to use the decline word, the negative, there's so much negative connotation that is affiliated with that. There's ways to talk around that. And on the flip side of that, as I've said before, I've worked in, the highs and lows of venues. People don't care if their credit card is declined. They're out for one night. They're there to have a good time. You let them know, unfortunately your card's declined. They're like, oh yeah, I charged a lot at the last place. Let me transfer some more money over. And they'll sit there in front of you and go into their bank account. I don't remember having that luxury back in the day, having a credit card app or a phone app where you can just transfer money from one account to another, or else we'd probably be a lot more broke than we already are today. It was nice to have a hard cutoff where like your credit card's declined. That tells you go home. I don't need to keep doing this. But now it's like, I think I can do one more bar, and I just won't pay rent, and we'll be so.
Or they're like, hold on, let me call my bank.
Yeah. And they have that on speed dial 1.
So sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different avenues, and to continue with, we talk about just the beverage side of things. You talked about one of your employees one time and dealing with the difficulty of them drinking on the job. This may not be the drinking on the job, but it's the handling the guest interaction. And I had this really strong older Italian gentleman who had been in his position for so long. And here I am, 23, 24 years old. And, knowing that this associate was a little bit more on the difficult side, I was tasked with enhancing these professionals from a hospitality side. Well, the first interaction I had, I'm walking on the floor and I'm just walking by tables and I see him put down a dish in front of one of the guests. And the guest's first response was, can I get some salt and pepper? And the gentleman's immediate response was, try it first. And
Of course.
that's where I had to quickly interject, like, oh, no, we can get you that. Not a problem.
You're offending the chef at that point.
He doesn't see it that way. Yeah, he sees it like, how dare you ask for something before trying to do that. So yeah, I mean, there's really a lot of different styles of employees that we have to continue to just deal with and learn how to handle yourself from a different managerial perspective. Everyone is different, and that comes with the day-to-day operations. So yeah, those are a few. I'm sure we could write books, as most of us are in the process of doing, and tell the stories, but the memoirs are fantastic to read.
So on that same note, Jordan, let's touch on how labor or a labor pool has changed so dramatically today. Like, I'll give you an example, and it's super shameful, but the story that I shared with you, I was in a destination resort. So it was very difficult to find good talent, especially because they come in during the season and then they go back to wherever it is that they live the rest of the year. And I found myself a year later during high peak season making the decision of allowing that team member back on board or not. So how has the labor pool, do you think, changed, especially since COVID hit?
As I kind of led with in the beginning here, I think hospitality has taken one of the most difficult hits. Studies show that the positions that are the most difficult to recover is hosts, bartenders, and cooks right now, because those areas, two of those three aren't typically tipped out. And so the host position and the cook position are just finding different avenues in their life that are going to be either paying the same for something easier to do and less stressful, or they're just out of that face-to-face interaction with hospitality. I think a lot of people have just found that there's easier ways of living that don't require 12-hour shifts, or don't require uniforms, and they're willing to take those different lifestyle changes. I think the mentality to go along with it is one of the most difficult, challenges that I'm finding right now. And we touched on it briefly, but I spoke to one of my lead people, and I said to them, season's on its way. I know we're doing pretty well right now, but we're going to be picking up. Things are about to ramp up, and we're going to be taking on a lot more soon. And this person said to me, yeah, I know season's on its way. I think once season gets here, I'll probably want to go down to 4 days. And
Awesome.
I just stared in amazement, kind of not really understanding at first. What do you mean you want to go down to 4 days? And the response was, well, once season's here, I'll make enough money in 4 days that I would in 5 days. So I don't need that shift. And I was at a loss for words, and I just, it's unfortunate, but that truly is the mentality this day and age, is if I can make what I can make in the 4 days or 3 days working, and not have to be as stressed and not have to be as work, then they'll take that. I think along with it though, everyone sees, food and beverage as a, that quick income, right? And the cash take home. A lot of restaurants don't do cash take homes anymore. They make you claim your tips. So that's, it's a double-edged sword. There's the training of professionals. Obviously culinary is at its highest rate right now for culinary professionals. So you have to understand that you're going to need to pay people, even if you're hiring them right out the door. What would you pay them if they were here year 3? And you have to understand that kind of comes with it. And you expect the best immediately and hope they can deliver on that. But that's, the average rate is definitely a lot higher than it's ever been. Even for a lesser job, you just want somebody that you can feel confident is going to show up right now. You're seeing a lot of places cutting hours that would be open until 12 or 1. They're not going to do it anymore just because they don't have the bodies that can kind of withhold the shifts.
Yeah.
But it's you've got to hone in on taking care of the professionals that you have in the positions that are there right now. We all know it's more difficult to create a new guest versus keeping the guests that you have. Same thing with your staff. You have to take care of them and make sure that they are, genuinely appreciated and that they are getting the attention they need. They always say, spend more time with your stars than your low-hanging fruit, because they're going to have, a higher impact on the people around them. When they see, people doing better, the people below them kind of want to get to that level. And so that's a big part right now. In addition, as we all know, food and beverage, you have a ton of different personalities, right? You've got your introvert who thinks they're the best server and your extrovert who thinks they're the best server. You've got your knowledgeable one and you've got your flirtatious one. Everybody's got a personality, and we all know that. When it comes to the managerial side of things, you yourself have to be every single one of those personalities as well. You've got to maintain, the introvert and speak quietly and close to them and understand where they're coming from. And then you've got to speak to that extrovert, and you've got to be super extra and be on their level. When you're
super extra.
Everybody has a different style of how they want to be treated, right? It all comes with understanding your individuals and taking the time to really train them as a person versus training your team as a whole. And so we found that to be a really beneficial part with our team and continuing to kind of grow as a family this day and age, because we all know you see your work family more than you see your regular family.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like I said, it has been challenging, but at the same time, I think it comes with, the challenge of life. Let's face ourselves with something new and overcome it. And I think, hospitality is definitely on its way back up.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Jordan. That was great, full of tips. So Stephanie, tell us a few stories real quick so that we don't make it too long. We can be talking on forever, like everything you're saying. There is something that relates to, or a story behind it, but give us a snippet.
Yeah, so with my WTF it was always interesting of watching the guests try to take items from the restaurant and thinking that they were being sneaky and not getting caught. And so especially the restaurant that I was at had unique glassware for their mixed drinks, and then you would all of a sudden see that they would have it, finish it, order another one, and then by the time you brought that drink back, it would be gone, or the glassware in their purse, obviously, with the female being able to think that they were sneaky, and then being able to basically have to call them out nicely of saying that the glassware, I wonder where it could be. Can we make sure that we have that back before you depart?
Which is way sexier to steal the funky glassware than to steal toilet paper out of the bus lobby at the resort. Let's just say that. Okay? Way sexier.
Oh yes, and then the guests think that they're trying to be sneaky, and we know there's cameras all over the place, but then also too, with they're not the first guest that has tried to do this, and then where do you draw the line too of not calling them out, because maybe they have racked up a $300-400 tab, so you're like, yeah, you can take that $10 $25 glassware, because we're able to recoup the money for how high their check has been. But then also too, when they're regulars, we would have it a lot in the property that we worked together at, and then they would be there every week, and it would just be the same thing of even like down to the ketchup, like the small ketchup bottles as well, of being like, I'll give you a few extra, like just be able to let me know, don't try to be sneaky on even those things. But Yeah, it's very interesting when the guest is trying to steal, not the employees, but the guest.
Being a klepto, that's maybe what they like, just they can get away with it.
Yes. Oh,
They
well,
need the
this
full
was
collection. Party of 12.
yeah. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for being on our show, Jordan, and giving your insights on the food and beverage side. And we look forward to having you on again.
Thanks, ladies. I appreciate your time.
And maybe next time, if it's not this early on our 21st, on our next 21st birthday, we'll have some cocktails.
Yes.
I like that idea. Let's make sure we pre-game before the show, and then you have what we're like.
Sounds good. And we'll call that a special.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you so much, Jordan, for being here and enlightening us. So many tips. Fantastic episode. Thanks, Stephanie, for being here with me today.
Wonderful. Thank you.